We're Charlie and LeeAnne, a couple from California who left our cushy suburban life to spend the next several years cruising around the Pacific Ocean on our boat, Juliet. And our little dog, too. In our last episode, we finished out our summer in California with a day sail on our friend's beautiful Seawind 1160 catamaran. Then we flew back to La Paz, Mexico to restart our cruising life. We reunited with Juliet in Marina Palmyra and enjoyed the amenities here. We also had a bit of drama with a frozen turbocharger, which fortunately had a happy outcome. Now that we're back and have settled in, it's time to get to work. We're hauling Juliet out for some much-needed maintenance.
So we're taking Juliet over to the Palmar boatyard here in La Paz. Main reason is to raise the waterline. When we loaded all our gear aboard, water level came above the waterline in a couple of spots. So we're going to have the waterline level raised. We're also going to replace a couple of through-hole fittings. And hopefully it'll be a nice, easy haul out, and we'll be back in the water within a week.
I can't even describe how wonderful it felt to get Juliet back out on the water, even if it was just a quick hop over to the boatyard. The Bay of La Paz is the largest coastal body of water in the Gulf of California, with an area of approximately 2,600 square kilometers. In the south of the bay is a protruding sandbar known as El Mogote, which is a marine refuge for whale sharks. If you saw our episode 10 from season 1, you saw us go diving with these whale sharks, which was a huge bucket list item for both of us. But because of this sandbar, as well as a number of hidden rocks, the path through the bay is pretty narrow, marked off by these buoys that you must stay between or risk running aground or worse. These buoys provide nice little rest stops for seabirds though. Speaking of seabirds, it looks like getting these drone shots pissed off a few seagulls. The good news is my drone survived the dive bombers, and now we're at the Marina Palmar boatyard, where the guys there are about to do what they do and haul Juliet out of the water. I must admit, it's a little nerve-wracking to know that our 30,000-pound boat, with us on it, is going to be lifted high up out of the water with nothing but these two straps. And it's all controlled by this guy. I sure hope he knows what he's doing. Now that we're out of the water, the lift can drive us backwards into the boatyard, where Juliet will be set on stanchions. If you've seen some of our earlier episodes, you'll know that I have a, shall we say, tortured relationship with ladders, as in, they scare the hell out of me. So when they brought this rickety ladder over and told me that's how I'm getting down, I was none too pleased.
Muchas gracias.
I survived! Now that Juliet was secured on stanchions and we were both safely down, time to start marking the new waterline so the crew could get to work.
So this is the bilge pump through-hole fitting. We're replacing the valve since the handle broke off. You can see this is just good, solid fiberglass. The backing plate came off when we removed the mushroom fitting, so we'll epoxy in a new G10 backing plate for the new valve. So this is the new bilge pump seacock. The other one was quite corroded, so we put this new heavy-duty bronze Groco seacock in. We got a fiberglass base plate there, or backing plate, and epoxied that into the hull. So this should be really secure. We also have a nice secure, that green wire on the bottom's the part of the bonding system. And that's got a nice, clean, secure connection, unlike the old one, which was kind of corroded. So hoping we don't have to worry about this one for another 10, 20 years. This is the old valve for the Watermaker intake, which was just looking a little bit old and crusty. So we'll replace it with a new Groco bronze 3/4 inch valve, new fiberglass backing plate, and new mushroom with a proper base. This is the new through-hull fitting we installed for the Watermaker seawater inlet, and it's got a new fiberglass backing plate that's been epoxied to the hull, and then it's got this nice bronze plate that's screwed into the backing plate. Got a good secure connection for the grounding wire, this green wire, and a new valve, a heavier duty valve than what we had on there before. We reuse the same bronze elbow that feeds into the Watermaker. But anyway, this should be a good through hull that will last us a long time. This is where the first coat of the bootstripe paint, the blue bootstripe paint, looking pretty nice. He's going to put 2 more coats on, and then we'll put some barrier coat and bottom paint on the bottom, a couple of feet.
And there she is, all freshly painted and striped. Quite lovely, don't you think? While we had her out of the water, we went ahead and put on a new shaft sink and replaced the 2 zinc anodes on the hull. After 5 days of being on the hard, it was time for Juliet to splash. Here was my first view of her looking all freshly painted and zinked. Nice makeover. Now we had to do the exact reverse of what we did earlier. First, we had to climb back up that ladder. This time, I filmed Charlie, as I realized that wasn't exactly the most flattering shot of me. Next, the huge travel lift moved into place around Juliet, and once again, our boat and our lives were at the mercy of these straps. And this driver, although this time I had a little more confidence in him. And with a bit more help from the boatyard crew, we were off and safely on our way back to our marina. This was actually the first time we'd sailed into this marina, since we'd had Juliet moved here by our boat managers while we were away in California. So we weren't exactly sure which finger we were supposed to go down, but we figured it out.
It's It's not this one, but it's the next one.
The next, oh, we don't turn here, we turn the next one, you're sure?
So. I think so.
Okay, you're right.
I remember.
That says 3 there, 302. That says 302, that's 3.
Yeah, it's the next one over.
The next one, okay, the next one. I thought you meant it's not this one, this one, the next one.
It's always nice to have someone on the dock throw the dock lines too, so I don't have to jump off the boat while it's still moving. A few adjustments on the lines, and Juliet was home sweet home, safe and sound. Or so we thought.
So I'm pretty upset. I did a really stupid thing. Charlie told me when I came down below, if I went down below, that the floorboard was up. And so to be careful of it. But I had to come down, I was looking for a rag for something. And I came down and I missed it. You know, I knew it was there. I stepped past it on the way down. But then when I was coming back, I was looking for something and my foot slipped and went down inside. And I stepped on a hose coming out of the one of the pumps in our Watermaker. And it didn't just come out, it actually broke. So, and Charlie took a look at it and he says it's going to be several $100s to get it fixed. We're going to see Rich tonight to talk to him about the battery project. So hopefully we'll be able to find out from him how much it's really going to cost. But obviously this sucks. I'm pretty upset. But we'll have more information tonight about the cost of my stupid mistake.
So this is what it looks like with the new Waterline and bootstripe. As you can see, the bottom paint, the red paint, comes up several inches from the bottom, and then the bootstripe is on top of that. And what we wanted to do is have several inches above the water. That way, when the boat is more fully loaded with us, people, and provisions, there will still be a little bit of bottom paint above the waterline. So on this side, the port side, you'll notice that we've got good bottom paint above the water level, and it might be a little bit higher in the middle of the boat. At least visually, that's what it looks like. That'll actually be okay because that's where we tend to be when we're in the salon and we're both on the port side. And we'll also be loading more gear on the boat, so that'll come lower on the boat once the boat is loaded. The water level's a little bit higher in the bow, which is nice, and we're pretty pleased with how it came out.
LeeAnne had a bit of a mishap and accidentally stepped down into this hole where some of the Watermaker parts are located. Let's survey the damage. This is the Watermaker boost pump. When her foot came down, it broke the outlet fitting, snapping it off at the pump housing. We're hoping we'll be able to buy just the exterior housing rather than having to buy a whole new pump. If we have to install a whole new pump, that's going to be a bit of a bummer, as it's pretty complicated installation requiring a lot of rewiring in tight spaces. But hey, the most important thing is she didn't get hurt. Parts can always be replaced, feet can't.
So last season, one of the things that broke in the boat was this rope clutch for the furler line, this red furler line. It's really important that we're able to secure the furler line because it's under a lot of pressure when the sail is reefed. Also, when you furl the sail in completely, you want this nice and snug so that the sail can't blow out in a heavy wind. And what was happening is the spring in here just sort of broke off the base, and it no longer holds the furling line. It will slide in and out easily. So first I tried to see if we can fix it. Turned out this part is actually broken. So I ordered a new one. I went to the Lumar website, and for this boat, for the Mainsail, it recommends this model here, which is the larger version. I wasn't sure how much larger it was and whether it would fit, Well, like most boat projects, it get a little complicated because this new one, the larger one, does not fit on the base. I'd have to make a new base plate for this. But the other problem is that because it's wider and these holes are wider apart, the lines will chafe against, or this first line will chafe against the opening here. And I don't want to go and make that larger because that requires a lot of fiberglass and Jilco work, and don't want to deal with that. So what I'm going to do is I'll get a new one like this, which is the original size that the boat came with. Even though it's undersized, I'll get a new one. Hopefully it'll last another 30 years and be fine. But I will keep this one as a backup. And if we have any problems with the new, smaller version holding, then I will go to the trouble of enlarging the base, drilling new holes, and mounting the larger unit. We can switch the lines around so that maybe the main sheet chafes a little bit, since that one we don't adjust as much, and when you pull out the sail or furl it in, both of these lines have to run freely, and they already have a lot of friction, so I don't want to add any more friction for these two lines. So that's our plan. It'll take another couple of weeks to get the new smaller rope clutch, but hopefully we'll have that before the end of the month.
We've made a lot of progress on the work Juliet needs, but in the meantime, what a mess the interior has become. There's stuff scattered all over the place, and it's about to get way worse. The V-berth, which we basically use as our garage, needs to get completely emptied out for next week's battery project. Well, time to get started. So where did all that stuff go? Into the quarter berth, which is our bedroom, and into the shower and head. Clearly we have our work cut out for us to move back aboard. Fortunately, we've still got our little apartment here at the marina for about 3 more weeks, and in the meantime, we're enjoying the pause. Bubba still gets lots of walks, although we can't walk him much at night anymore, as the rising COVID infection rates in the city have caused the police to shut down the Malecon starting at about 8 p.m. every night. It's a bit disconcerting to see the police mobilizing outside our building every night, but we're glad the city is taking the pandemic so seriously. As for us, we pretty much stick to the marina and carefully practice social distancing. We do get out for the occasional margarita at Captain's, where we can always find a few cruisers hanging out. And where we have a perfect view of Juliet, safe in her slip. Our next episode is going to be a unique one. The reason Charlie emptied the V-berth is to get to our battery bank. We will be replacing our aging lead-acid house battery bank with higher capacity lithium iron phosphate battery packs. We will cover several special considerations required to make this new battery chemistry work well on a cruising boat. Hopefully we'll also get that water pump housing replaced, and then we should just about be ready to get back out there and resume our life sailing around the beautiful Sea of Cortez. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please click like and maybe drop us a comment, and be sure to subscribe.